Hey, you! It's Slender.
Alright, just like that, I'm back in the frickin' cave. I got a few hours sleep last night. Oh, I got a week to catch up, so I know I'm going to be here solo for a week. Ish. Whew. Yeah, I got home this morning. It's been raining enough. I guess the big fire's been smothered, what's called smothered, but they still have to work at getting all the hot spots on the ground dug up, because once it gets hot again, the figure's going to flare right up again, so they're hammering away, but thank God that rain came. Holy cow. Anyways, stayed at a hotel last night, and I had some time while I was driving, and I listened to, quick note, I listened to a little more on that Bashar thing. I don't know, I guess once I watched it once, it's all over my feed. Apparently this guy's made a lot of, has got a lot of attention online. And then what I was going to do, not that it means much, but I'm just going to say I was trying to make sense of it. You know what I mean? When somebody, we have many people coming here to us and basically telling us that they're speaking to aliens or Sasquatch or whatever, right? Lots. Do I doubt some of them? Yeah. Do I believe some of them? Yep. This one particular man, he's boldly, blatantly saying that he is a alien called Bashar, and he's being channeled through another dude. And then somebody forwarded me a video of him speaking directly about the Sasquatch people. I forget everything he said. He said something about they're from another dimension, they're from somewhere else, and if it wasn't for the, well, how did it go again? If it was for the intentional DNA splicing, that we would have been them. He also said that the wood knocks are not wood knocks. It is the sound of them entering our dimension. As soon as he said that, well, I've had a few red flags go off just for me. I'm not telling anybody how to think or what to think. It's all, you're on your own ride. You do your own due diligence on every subject, but I just thought I'd give my 2 cents on what I've learned from all of you over the years. Okay? How many, well, there's X amount of billions of human beings on this planet today. Now, I would think, from what I'm learning here, is patterns. If you want truth, if you want to learn truth about anything, one thing that we do have is patterns. Okay? And patterns can be used to refer to whether it's truth or non-truth. Right? And what I was thinking was, from what I've learned, especially from what I've learned from all of you, is when it comes to patterns, if there was billions of people on the earth today and somebody from another planet could channel clearly through an individual, through a human being here, and speak and answer questions at a convention, it would be happening through more than one human being. Without a doubt. And then let's just say if there was some aliens from another planet, they're contacting people here on Earth and channeling through them. Well, and only one in the billions of people? Okay, how about only one in the thousands of people that are using the internet? Who would they choose to speak through? You know what I mean? Somebody of absolute high intelligence who has all the answers and all the answers of who we are and where we are and how we got here, has all those answers, all that intelligence. They're going to pick somebody pretty substantial to channel through. Don't you think, if there was only one shot and one go at it? And then furthermore, if somebody could do that from another planet, they're pretty intelligent. Why would they encourage that person to sell DVDs about their conversations? You know what I mean? Another red flag for me. And then I look into it further. Not that I'm just babbling away because, what the hell? If something came to my attention, and we're all sitting at the same coffee table, so I tell you guys, basically, I share life with you. And I shared what came across my attention and how I listened and what my gut told me. That's it. Unless I can be proven otherwise. But this person, one person, has a lot of people. Absolutely taking everything they say as the word. A lot of people. They're all giddy and giggling and clapping and applauding and laughing. But then all of a sudden my mind goes straight to David Koresh. Or John Jones or Jim Jones, whoever it was that got everybody to kill themselves with the orange juice. Remember those cult leaders who were convinced by that one person that aliens were going by on a ship, that they had to kill themselves now to get on the ship, and they did. You know? You had one person convince people to throw millions of people in ovens and bake them. You know what I'm just saying? I'm just saying, when you have one person getting that kind of control over a group of human beings, it makes my red flags go up. That's all. Just from what I've been learning. I know I'm rambling. Anyway, this person said blatantly that that they came here, meaning this person, his species, they came here via a ship, but they didn't have to, because they could have just appeared here. But they took the ship with permission, allegedly, so that it wouldn't really freak out people too bad. So that statement right there tells me that, yes, you can pop in here and pop out of here. So for me, I would be like, if I was to bump into this person, I'd go, okay, no cameras, no nothing, just me and you. Take me into the back room and appear. Prove it. Because you just said you can. Do you know what I mean? That would be an easy one just to throw that little challenge out there. You said you can appear, but you don't want to freak out the people, so you took a ship to get here. And in time, you're going to appear. Might be the next 5 or 7 years. And anyway, That's all I got to say about that. So, my take on that guy, I mean, there's no bad messages being thrown down at all. Amazing skills to do what he's doing, right? Just talks smoothly, answers right away, and answers pretty. His delivery is very good. I remember on the delivery part, take note of this. I remember a guy, a doctor, surgeon, I've referred to him before, Dr. Ken Tuttle out of Oregon. I remember we were talking about the delivery. And he's explaining how if you have the delivery, you can go forever in this lifetime. Not forever, but you can go a long ways in this lifetime if you have the delivery. And what he said as an example, he said, Bill Clinton, he had the delivery. Ronald Reagan, he had the delivery. He could deliver to a crowd of people, meaning speak to them. Tony Robbins, he's got the delivery. You know what I mean? So if you got the delivery, well, you can make a living. Right? Anyways, I believe this guy's got an incredible delivery. Do I believe he's an alien? There's an alien being channeled through that guy? Myself? Nope. No, I don't. No, I don't. I listened to two. I think I managed to listen to two of the videos. And just the scene, the setup and the stage, the whole 9 yards, the posture, the delivery. It just, I let my gut decide for me, and my gut said, nope. Moving along. There you go. That's all I got to say about that. Now, I got absolutely mauled to death by Ruby. Holy shit, she freaking near knocked me over. I'm going to have to wear again pretty quick. She is a big dog. Big dog. She absolutely freaks out when I come home. Holy cow. But anyway, it's hunting season's coming right up. For many, it's sheep hunting season for many right now. Excuse me, and that means there's going to be some new people, joining the club of no return. Coming right up. Coming to you in a forest or mountains near you. It's that season again where a lot of people go remote, and some people are about to have the scare of their life coming up, guaranteed, somewhere in the world. Somewhere in the world weekly anyway, but I mean, more commonly coming right up, including us. Now there's my little opener babble. Now, who do we have to be heard here today? I sent out another email to the Owl Man this morning to tell him that I'm going to be here by myself for this week, and if he wants to come on here and speak with me for all you to hear, to email me back. Sarah has somebody to come on here with me Monday morning at 9 o'clock. And moving along. This is titled My Experience. I hope this is working. Back to the old microphone again one more time. Hey, love the channel. Don't put my name out, but my name is blank blank. I'd like to share my story with you. All right. I live in Alabama. Okay, have I read this? It's not marked as read. I live in Alabama. I'm a former U.S. Army vet. I've been hunting my whole life. I grew up with a gun or bow in my hand from an early age of 6. I know the woods. I know the native animals. I've hunted from Alabama, Georgia, Kentucky, Louisiana, Tennessee. I've hunted alligator, boars, whitetail, turkey, ducks. I fly fish all over from North Carolina, Kentucky, Georgia, Tennessee. I've spent many a day in the wilderness, and it's my home. Now let me get to the story. I went hunting with my dad in 1998 to a spot we have frequently hunted. I loved the spot, killed many whitetails there. And he was bow hunting. We was bow hunting it in January. We park the truck, pack up the climbers on our back, and head out. From the truck to the spot is about 2 miles of hiking mountain terrain. We get to my dad's tree, and I continue to hike another 300 to 350 yards till I get to my spot. The woods are thick, and I can't see my dad. He can't see me, but we're close. Normally, I go further into the woods at this spot, but because we was bow hunting, we were concentrating on 4 game trails that all came together and using the terrain as it funnels in 2 different spots. We've been hunting all day. Towards the end of the day, maybe 2 hours before dark, I see a few does come by. Shortly after that, I heard a strange noise that can only be described as a whoop. At that time, I had no idea Bigfoot behavior. We lived in such a rural community that we only had three 3 TV stations and you couldn't get cable. I remember thinking, what was that? Not knowing or even thinking about Bigfoot, I sat there patiently. Now take note. The whoop came from the north of me, from up top on a ridge. Now, maybe 15 minutes later, I heard a noise coming from the south. It appeared to be walking in a northern direction between me and my dad. I remember thinking, that's a man. And I was looking for orange. The sound got closer and closer. I believe if it had went any further, it would have stepped out in the open. Then it stopped. I was looking in the direction, couldn't see it. Then all of a sudden, it roared or yelled. It was so deep and loud, it made my chest rattle. My arms stand straight up. Me and my dad carried two-way radio with us, and with an earpiece and a mic. He came over the radio and said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, what was that?" He said, "I have no idea, but whatever it is, it's between us." Dad said, "Sit tight, wait for dark, and maybe it will move out away from us." So night falls, and I started down the tree. Pack my climber, get my bow, and start making my way towards my dad. Anxiously, I walked, knowing that I'm heading directly towards whatever made that sound, as I never heard it leave after the roar. So halfway to my dad, I started hearing it. I'd step, it stepped. I stopped, it stopped. I continued towards my dad, knowing it was close. Real close. I get to my dad in one piece. I tell him we got company, something big is trailing me. He kind of laughed. But either way, all we had was a couple of bows and knives. So we start making our way towards the truck. And as soon as we started hiking towards the truck, it followed. We stepped, it stepped. We stopped, it stopped. At some point, it must have been within 20 yards behind us and to the left. It was terrifying. 2-mile hike with 40 pounds of gear in the dark is about an hour to an hour and a half minute walk, depending on terrain. So it was an uneasy feeling. As we got to the creek and make our way across, we start heading in different direction. The wind changed and moved, and we were downwind of it. We could smell this skunky type smell, but it didn't really smell like a skunk. But we pushed on. This thing followed us for 2 miles all the way to the truck. We threw our stand to the back, jumped in the cab as quickly as we could, and left. My dad won't talk about it. Neither one of us has ever hunted that spot again. My dad won't talk about it. That sucks. I've been around gators, boars, bobcat. I've seen mountain lions once, coyote. All these, with exception of gator, will literally try to get away from you. I've had no experience with grizzly bear, just black bear, but point being is they don't want to be around humans. I know these animals sound like. I know what these animals sound like and don't sound like. A 300-pound man walking in the woods. Furthermore, it was January and bears aren't around. So what was this? A random man walking through the woods in the dark without a flashlight for 2 miles? Of rough country? I don't think so. I'd never seen what it was, but it wasn't anything I've ever seen or heard. I've been hunting for 37 years, and I've only had one experience that I can't explain logically. Thanks for all you do. Now, this hunt was in the Talladega National Forest close to Piedmont. We were hiking down the Pinhoti Trail, which runs the Appalachian Mountain Range. And there we go. We've got a handful of father-son combos in tree stands for deer with something happening near one or the other between them. Over the years, welcome to the club. You know what it was. You know what it was. Thanks for that email, man. It takes time to write emails, right? Time's valuable. Very, very valuable. This next email is titled, Mean Mother Effers in the Woods. Steve, I've been watching your channel for a long time now, and you've motivated me to get back outside and start doing the things I used to love, like camping and exploring and fishing. Things I used to do all the time. Every time I had a chance, that is, until my girlfriend and myself were minding our own business and became the target of a very large and pissed off 10-foot monster that changed my life and ended my girlfriend's. I think we read this. Ended my girlfriend's. Man, there's so many emails. I think they've been sent in 2 or 3 times. Oh well. Not directly, but a short time afterwards, she took her own life, and I believe because she couldn't cope. We went through some serious shit that day, and she was the one, I think, who saved us. I'm reading this again no matter what. This happened 30 or so years ago, and to this day it still freaks me the hell out. I've listened to every one of the encounters you've shared, and I still haven't heard one very much like ours. I used to live in Spokane in the late 80s and early 90s, and was asked by a friend to help him do some work on a property he had that had been in his family for generations. When it happened, I was on my 3rd trip up there, and we were having a total blast. Way more partying than working, but was almost finished with the work I was doing. Was why I brought my girlfriend this time. Anyway, we got up there early Friday night with plenty of light left to show her around. There was also my friend's girlfriend and another couple, for a total of 6 of us. We had a small amount of work and a lot of partying to do before we had to leave back to Spokane on Sunday night. The job I was doing was building a well in a clearing about a quarter of a mile from the cabin. He wanted it to look like an old-time medieval well made of stone and wood, and it was coming along nicely, so when we got there, me and her took off on a couple of ATVs to the well with some whiskey, weed, blankets, and a guitar for a hoot of a night in the woods. And that's exactly how it was until morning came. I've not heard an encounter quite like this one, but this is what happened. When we got up there, we immediately got on 2 3-wheelers with a couple of sleeping bags, lots of booze and my guitar, and went straight to the well where I was working. I started drinking and singing. It was about a quarter mile or so away from the cabin, in a little flat clearing with the well right in the middle of it. And we started enjoying the weekend right away. We howled away all night and started to go to sleep right before it started to get light out, and my girlfriend woke me up saying someone was coming. I sat, shook off the whiskey, and listened, and sure enough, loud footsteps were approaching, and they would get close and stop and start approaching again from the opposite side, so it sounded like there were more than one person. But because of the sound and hearing it run a little bit to our side, I instantly knew what was out there, because growing up I saw Boggy Creek, and I was a believer and liked all things encrypted, but laughing and joking was as far as I ever got. Me and my friends would get away. Okay, missing some punctuation, okay guys? Yeah, we just went to 0 periods for quite a while. Sorry. And liked all things encrypted, but laughing and joking was as far as I ever got. Me and my friends would get away every chance we got, and can't even guess the number of times we went to bed right on the ground. Then that split second I realized what was out there. It was like an injection of all the terrible emotions at once, and it made me almost melt. So here it is, and I don't care who believes it, and I've tried to tell what happened to many people and have never been believed, not one time. I never got to finish at one time, but I've never been upset because no one ever let me finish. Even if I was standing up with a 50 cal machine gun aimed at the place it came out of the woods, I still would not have shot at it. So this is how it went down. After a few minutes of running around us, this thing snapped a tree in 2, screamed, and came running out of the woods so fast that when it tried to stop, it skidded across the ground with its giant arms in the air for balance, and looked like someone was rolling on those sneakers with the wheels and the heel. It dug up 10 feet of ground under each foot, leaving giant skid marks, and tearing up the ground. My girlfriend fainted and fell straight back, hitting the well that we were sleeping next to, and I lost all my body functions, including vomiting. This thing was very mad at us. For some reason, it turned around and screamed again and ran to the edge of the clearing, turning back around, getting down on all fours and charging us. This thing was female, no doubt, and it was displaying how effing badass it was, breaking trees, throwing the motorcycle, screaming. It was very mad. It was trying to say something to us because it seemed like it was mad at us. There was also no doubt about that as well. And it charged us again. Each time it screamed, I vomited again. That's when my girlfriend came to and tried shooting it with an old can of bear spray she picked up at the cabin, but she shot me right in the side of my face instead, and I was instantly blinded for the next 3 hours or so. And when she did that, it ran back into the woods, and I could hear it circle back around. It ran away until we could not hear it anymore. It was at least 10 feet tall, dark brown, and it had breasts the size of bowling balls. No hair on them or her face. She reminded me of Eddie Munster with her hair coming to a point at the middle of her forehead. And she was effing pissed. There's also no doubt about that. It was clearly trying to let us know that it was not happy with us. It was also, I believe, trying to say something to us because it was yelling at us. It even pointed its finger, which is about 11 inches long, at us, like my mom used to when I was growing up and got in trouble. It was effing pissed. So when it left screaming away for a minute, until we could not hear it anymore, we just sat there holding each other, dry heaving with our ears ringing bad. My eyes were on fire. My whole face burned. The spray was dripping to my chest and stomach, and it was burning there. It took us 15 minutes before either one of us could get up. We only had one motorcycle then, and it wasn't going anywhere because I guess it was 30 yards away, mangled and upside down. It's what April told me later because we did talk about it afterwards, unlike so many dual sightings. It was all we talked about in the weeks and months to come. Anyway, when we made it back to the cabin, and it took a while because April had never got to know that the way because she followed me, was effing gone. Everybody couldn't believe my friends had left me. Well, I take that back. I can believe it because I think I would have done the same thing after hearing the tantrum that big bitch threw at us. I also had no idea if she came by the cabin after she gave us her business. So just like her not knowing how to get back to the cabin, I didn't know how to get back to the road because we're about 2 miles away into the woods. In most places, you couldn't even see the little road that got us back there. And we had a long day of daylight ahead of us because at that time of year, it stayed light out until almost 10 p.m. But we weren't going anywhere until I could see again. The cabin was a square about 25 by 25 with 2 sleeping areas and a kitchen and a loft that was also above the 2 sleeping areas. With my girlfriend's help, we made it back to the cabin and into a cot where she fell asleep, and so did I. And after a couple hours of rinsing my eyes and cleaning off all the shit and the vomit until every drop of water that we brought there was gone, when I got thirsty, I had a beer. I finally fell, or the first time in 30 hours, not counting the 30 minutes I had before that. What? I finally fell? Got thirsty, had a beer. I finally fell, or for the first time in 30 hours, not counting the 30 minutes I had before that pissed off Bigfoot made me get up. I think he meant fell asleep. When my girlfriend woke me up, her first words were, "It's back, and she's not alone." So like last time, I sat up and my eyes were shut, and I had to pry them open, but I could see, thank God, and it was already getting dark because we slept all day. So here we were in a cabin in the mountains somewhere in the northern Washington, and there's at least 2 Bigfoot outside, and it was getting dark. We had no car, and they were making a lot of noise. That's the end of the email. You know what? I gotta find this dude. Okay, we got a name. Look into. I think everybody would probably be interested in listening to this person tell this straight up to us, wouldn't you? I would. And that's the end of the email. I'm going to get Sarah to email, or I'm going to email this man and hear firsthand and get the rest of the story shared. What do you think? I'm down. Ooh, here's a long one. 2. Okay, here we go. To the previous emailer, you're gonna get gotten hold of. Get gotten hold of. All right, here we go. Steve, my name is Shay Willis, and I live in Buckingham County, Virginia. Our population is small, 13,500 for such a large county, and we were in the geographic center. We are in the geographic center of the state. This is logging country, so the term rural is an understatement for most of this area, with there being far more wooded acres than not. We are also blessed with an abundance of rivers. There's 7 different ones within 20 minutes of my home, and countless smaller waterways, impoundments, and lakes/ponds. I realize that when someone says Sasquatch, Virginia is not the first place that comes to mind for having an encounter. But the ecology of Buckingham is a surprisingly rich and supportive environment for their presence. That being said, I still don't really expect to encounter them here. I'm a 52-year-old woman who spends every spare minute in the outdoors, usually alone. I'm only one generation removed from the mountain people of the Blue Ridge Mountains nearby, and therefore I grew up truly knowing the land and all it had to offer. Hunting fed us. Plants were our medicine, and we lived out our lives in touch with the natural world. My relationship with nature only deepened over time, and I now teach others how to use native plants, how to sense and use the natural energies around us, and how to expand their awareness to understand that it's not only a possibility, but a certainty that we share our place in nature with other intelligent beings who are most definitely not human, with Sasquatch being one of those. Because of this, I spend a considerable amount of time in secluded areas, usually alone and in the dark, just being open to whatever may transpire. I have a Jeep that is especially outfitted for my adventures, and cases of equipment to document any interactions that may take place so that I can share my experiences with others. In July, a group of us went out one night to watch the skies and see who might come visit us, and we experienced a multitude of rather interesting events at ground level, which was unexpected, including the presence of elongated lights. They looked kind of like what happened to Captain Kirk and his crew when they were beamed back and forth from place to place. And while they were only visible to us for a second, multiple people saw the same thing. Heavy-duty energetic anomalies that made our hair stand on end. After such an interesting evening, I decided to douse the area and create a map of energy pattern because I was fascinated with it. After doing this, I decided to go back alone on the evening of August 17th to see if I could experience any of the same occurrences. That's when things got really interesting. I didn't go back to that location with any expected outcome in mind. I was open to any possibility, only wanting to understand the experience from before if I could. The area is basically a small field with a gravel entry road paralleling the field on the north side and dense woods on all sides. And just as the last light faded, I noticed a series of pulsing bright green lights about 15 feet to 20 feet above the ground in the edge of the trees at the far eastern end of the field, which was approximately 150 yards from where I was standing. The lights came and went for about 10 minutes. Just a few minutes after the lights stopped, I was positively shocked to plainly hear wood knocking about the same distance away, but to the northeast. There were 3 knocks in succession. I have the first one clearly recorded on both my camera and my audio recorder. But I'd taken my dog, Jack, with me, and his barking after the first one drowned out the sounds of the other 2 in my equipment. After this, there were whoops from the north, south, and west, some of which I captured on audio, and strange trilling noises in the woods behind me. I was delighted with the activity, but Jack was less than enthused, and he continued to bark and growl ferociously for the duration. While all this was taking place, I kept my IR cam running, which is mounted on a monopad, and regularly swept it in all directions, desperate to catch a glimpse of my visitors. I never did see any of them while I was there, and the activity ended after about 45 minutes. When I got home, I was so stoked over the experience that I was wide awake and decided to download all my audio and video before I went to bed. I had trail cameras mounted to my Jeep, my IR cam on the monopad, audio recorders, etc. So while things were downloading, I was looking through the video from my IR cam. And as I watched the video, I was stunned to see what looked like a large humanoid figure directly across from me on the other side of the gravel road. I'd caught it on my camera in one of my sweeps, and I literally picked up the image at the far left extent of the sweep. Just a second before I started moving it back toward the right. It's in frame for only a couple of seconds, but it clearly looks as though it ducks down quickly, down into its right as if trying to escape the camera. You can see the reflection of its eyes as it moves. I realized that since I kept sweeping the camera around, I may have caught it again on another section of film, so I keep reviewing the video. Sure enough, 2 minutes after I caught it the first time, it appears as though it moved about 20 feet to its left and crouched behind some tall vegetation that bordered the road, still watching in my direction. On the video, you can't see the figure itself hiding in the vegetation, but its eyes are plainly visible. It even looks as though it was swaying slightly back and forth, as if maybe to see a little better through the leaves. After this, my son and I went back during the day so he could help me measure the distance between my location and the figure, which turned out to be right at 200 feet. We then put my son in the location of the figure to gauge his height. He's 6 foot tall and would have been dwarfed by whatever was standing there. With all that being said, I would like to clarify that at no time during the encounter did I feel the least bit threatened, nor was I afraid. In fact, my reaction was just the opposite. I was extremely excited and delighted. I felt very fortunate to have the experience, and I still do. I'd also like to clarify that I never carry any weapons of any kind on these outings because regardless of what manner of beings I may encounter, I don't ever want them to feel threatened. And since the experience, I've been back to the location, which I have kept secret from everyone except the people closest to me, a number of times during the day in order to look for a suitable spot to set up a regular schedule for being there, just to see if they'll come back to visit with me again. This particular piece of property is about 1,300 acres, mostly dense woods, and so it has taken me a couple of weeks to find a spot that I'm satisfied with. I'm very interested in seeing if I can gain their trust enough to get closer to them, and so I plan to minimize the use of cameras and other equipment, especially after dark, and only keep an audio recorder running. And Jack won't be going with me. I don't want him scaring them off with his barking or growling. The dog barked right when I read that. Hey! Give me a minute! I don't think these beings are animals. I believe they are an intelligent people, most likely more advanced than us in some ways, and I believe they can teach us something. I've always thought this about them, but I also used to think that they were pretty much bound to a normal atomic existence like the rest of us on this planet. Now, I'm not so sure. I'm beginning to think that they might have advanced capabilities when it comes to manipulating energetic fields that may allow them to blend in with their surroundings or even pop in and out from one place to another. I know some of that sounds a little crazy, but as I said previously, I'm all about being open to all possibilities, not just the ones that fit neatly with our current and narrow understanding of this great big universe. So, I know this was long-winded, but I happened upon one of your YouTube videos in which you were alluding to the fact that you believe these beings are so much more than the most of the world gives them credit for. That made me feel like you might understand where I was coming from with this story and my intentions to try and make contact with him again. It also made me think that you might have some suggestions or advice that come in handy during my quest. I really admire the approach you have adopted when it comes to these people, and I feel that you may know quite a bit more than you're actually telling the world. Granted, I've only seen two or more of your videos just this evening, but I will be watching more. That's just the feeling I got. It made me feel really good to listen to the way that you're approaching this whole situation. Excuse me. I too have very little trust in the scientific community, feeling very strongly that if you want to get to the truth about something, experts carry much less value than experiential learning and exploration. I'm deeply grateful for your time, and if you are so inclined to send a reply, I'll wait that anxiously. Shay. All right. And then I have a second email from Shay attached below. I'm starting to slouch here. I'm going to go have a nap, I think. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Come on. Stupid phones. I got a cracked screen. An unexpected experience in Virginia update. Please read just the first couple of lines if you are pressed for time. Okay, Steve, I know you are unbelievably busy and swamped with emails, so here's the important part. Just a couple hours ago, Thursday, October 15th, you posted a new video in which you shared the story of a U.S. Army colonel, retired Richard Gibbs. The first part of his email talked about an experience that he had in 2015 in a state park in Virginia along the James River. This is the same location where I've been interacting with these beings for months. I really want to talk to this man if at all possible. I tried to find contact information for him online, but was unable to. If you have just a moment, could you please forward my email address to him and ask that he contact me if he's comfortable doing so? If you don't have time to read, share the rest of this, that's fine. I absolutely understand. If you do, below is the original email that I sent in September. Since then, a lot's happened. Here's a brief update. I've been back to this location many times and continue to have regular experiences with these beings, whom I now refer to as Sabe, thanks to an email you read from one of your followers a while back. I always disliked the terms Sasquatch and Bigfoot because of the pop culture associations, and I've been searching for something to call them that was more dignified and respectful. I was very happy to learn the term Kichi Sabe. It fits. I won't take up your time with a lot of details about what's been going on, but I will tell you that the most important thing about all of this is how my understanding of these beings has evolved drastically in a very short span of time. The change in my perspective came about as a result of the interactions themselves. Somehow I understand the things about them without knowing exactly how I'm understanding them. And it's some crazy shit. Don't get me wrong. I'm not claiming to be having a wisdom circle with Sabe while we drink mushroom tea or anything as trite as that. They do come close, but not too close. They knock, whoop, and chatter, but they also still maintain their distance and are largely elusive. It's not their proximity that is the important part. It's the understanding that I get when I'm focused on them and they're focused on me. I don't pretend to know anything about them. That would possibly be impossible for my mind to grasp, but I do understand some stuff that seems to be really important. Weird stuff, like how they're not bound by the laws of physical reality as we know them, and how they have actually been around me for a lot longer than I thought. I feel about as dumb as a box of rocks for not realizing it sooner. One of the most important things I've learned is that there are other things out there that are not as benevolent as I had always assumed. I know this sounds cryptic and ambiguous as hell, but there's no way to explain it in detail without writing a ton of information that you probably don't have time to read. On the other hand, if you are interested, just say the word and I'll be grateful to share. Thanks so much for your time and all that you do. Shay Willis. All right, Shay, you're getting a look into, and it'll probably be easier for you to speak it out loud here if you want. If you're still here listening, let us know. And I'll get Sarah to line that up. If you want to come out here and share everything you got right here, I'm in. And I know everybody else will be too. Very interesting. What's my dog doing out there? Why don't you let me read one more? My encounter. Hi, Steve. My name is Tom. You can use my name if you want. I hope this email finds you well. I've told one person this story, and it is to my 16-year-old nephew. I told him recently. The guy I was hunting with doesn't know for fear of his ridicule, but this story we refer to as the Hunting with the Three Stooges Day. That sounds familiar too. What the hell's going on here? I think I read that. It's short. I'm reading it. It started out the day before opening archery season in Pennsylvania, Northwest PA, Allegheny National Forest. We're hanging tree stands. No, I must have just read this and did mark it as red. What a dumbass. All right, it's marked as red. Got it. Got it. Okay, here's one. Not marked as red. Marked as red now. I'm a runner. Wild man is a track star. No doubt. What's up, Steve? I've been watching your channel for a while and I've learned a lot. I respect what you're doing. Most of all because you don't make a mockery out of it like the goofballs on TV. Those fame-hungry dudes who manipulate the narrative can suck a dick. Just not mine. My name is Remy Stevens. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, which is close to the border of Indiana. My parents and little brother have lived in the southeast Indiana for quite some time, an area called Delaware. My story takes place in '08, and I was 23 years old. And at this time, I would often travel out there to hang with my brother from time to time. So one night he invited me to a country bonfire party. I met him at our parents', parked my car, and rode with him the 3 to 4 miles to the party. We're having a good old time, hooting and hollering and just letting loose when my brother decided to leave because his girlfriend was blowing up his phone. And he was pussy whipped. I wasn't ready to leave, as I was still hurdling the campfire and slap boxing with some of the other guys. About another hour goes by and most people I knew had left, leaving me with the super drunks, the stay all-nighters, and only a couple girls. So I decided to walk my way back to my parents and my car. This is a rural area, not really forested, but lots of cornfields and bean fields along country roads. It's about 2 a.m, super dark. Although the moon is out and I'm just walking along this country road, not really paying attention to much. There's a cornfield on both sides of the road, but the corn had already been harvested, so it's just big empty fields. I'm about a mile into my walk, glancing down at my feet to make sure I'm still on level ground. When I look up and to my left, there it was. Instant eye contact, 30 feet away. It's standing on the edge of the field, just on the other side of the ditch. I look up, we make contact, we stare at each other for about 10 seconds, and then we both take off running. I run down the road like my life depended on it, and he ran into the field. I ran for about 50 feet when I glanced behind to see where he was, and he had already covered a football field in distance going into the cornfield towards a small forest. I didn't stop. I ran until I couldn't. This guy was at least 9 feet tall and jet black, super wide. Crazy muscle. His eyes were white. Not all white, but the whites of his eyes were super white. He had a face of a man. His skin was dark and weathered like an old beach bum who drinks all day. And I can't lie, I was scared. I was scared because I knew nothing about these people then. Never heard of them, never seen a show, nothing. It changed my life forever, but in a good way. It sent me on a path of truth-seeking and universal knowledge. If I get to see one again, I'll not run, but instead try to talk to them and learn something. I know they know a lot. I understand it might be naive, but my thirst for knowledge knows no bounds. Thanks for letting me share my story. Truth don't care about feelings. Remy Stevens. Truth don't care about feelings. Gotta steal that one, right? Truth don't care about feelings. You got that right. Neither do I. Neither do I. Suck it up, princesses, right? Truth don't care about feelings. Man, that is so true. You hurt my feelings. I'm so offended. All right, one more. You imagine the shock of that one if you haven't even seen a show, haven't seen a meme, haven't seen a cartoon character, not a rumor, a documentary, absolutely zero. And then boom, there's a 9-10 foot tall hairy dude staring at you 4 feet in the shoulders. And as real as death in Texas, right there. Hard ass, scared to death. Hi, brother. I'm a 56-year-old man now, but back in the day I was a hard ass-kicking, hard-charging cowboy, hunter, and later in life a framing contractor. You being in the trades, you know how hard framers are. Needless to say, I feared very little. I hunted elk as if my life depended on it. I hunted in Utah when I was young, and now in Montana. There are huge elk and deer in both states, just too many people. I had a spot when I was younger in Utah I called my honey hole. This spot held elk always and deer most of the time. The only times it was empty was when I was walking in it to hunt it, and I would get that fear that makes all the hair turn to wire. That's a great way to explain that feeling. I would have to talk myself down to make it into a spot. Been there. I didn't realize that there were never elk. I didn't realize that there were never elk when I felt this fear until I started to listen to your channel. Then all the memories came flooding back. It took me a while to talk to anyone about it, but I eventually told my wife and son. My wife just looked at me smiling. Mind you, she's seen me pound a pile of holes that desperately needed it. Mind you, she has seen me pound a pile of a-holes that desperately needed it. My son told me, "No effing way, Dad." I asked him why I thought that, and these are his words. "I don't believe you, Dad." Why, I asked. "Because you ain't afraid of shit, Dad." I told him I was on that mountain. He said, "Bullshit, I've seen you take on 10 Mexicans at a time, and you don't fear anything. And I've seen too much to believe otherwise, so I dropped it." So here's the question. I've been around bears, wolves, cats, and every storm nature can throw at you, including tornadoes, and I've never felt like that other than in that one spot occasionally when I was going into elk hunt. So what in the hell did this do? You think it was them hairy beings you speak of? Thank you for all you're doing. The world's a better place because of your character strength and the hard work you're putting in for other people. Not to give 2 cents what other people think. Use my name, Todd George. Well, again, why does a couple... We're going to get repeats, all there is to it. The kerfuffle before, the 2,500 emails, we're going to get them. That one sounded familiar too, but I'll answer that question anyway. I think anybody writes into me or us on this channel, they know what it was. You already know what it was. It's just the whys. The whys are left. Not the whats, it's the whys. But anyway, I'm going to get going. I need to finally relax. I'm beat, man. I'm chopped right up. I'm going to get going. I'm going to get organized. And maybe I'll sit back and relax and do a few emails, get some invites. Maybe I should just let Sarah do that. Otherwise I'll start overlapping, right? But I'll be back shortly, and who knows, maybe we'll get a guest on here tomorrow. We'll see shortly. Share my story at howtohunt.com. Keep it flowing. And I'll be back and rested and have my shit together shortly. Later.